Hey everybody, this is Ori from OneScales. In today's video, I'm going to cover image optimization for our paid speed optimization series. What we're trying to do is actually make websites faster, get better scores in Google's paid speed insights, and just have a better experience for your users, for your visitors on your website. This video is for image optimization. How do you take your images, which is one of the most important parts of optimizing your speed, making your website fast, and what things can you do? What are the best practices? So we're going to cover quite a few things. I want to give you some best practices, some ideas, some tools, and let's jump into it very simply. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is know that on most websites, basically every website, for example, we have a website right here. We made a demo. The heaviest, biggest things are almost always images. Every single website has a ton of images. For example, on this demo site, we have our sliding banners. We have like 5 big images. They cover the entire width. This is pretty popular for most websites. You have some additional images. You have product images or, blog images. There's always these things. There's icons, there's logos, there's videos. And then there's things like small icon stuff like that. And there's many other things. For example, in a product page, they have a ton of images. You have the additional images, for example, and there's just so many things. Some websites even have much more than this demo site. And so it's going to be the heaviest thing you have. So for example, if I go to this product page, I just want to show you an example here. And this is because this is a demo site, this is a very light website. Most websites have much more images, much more things. So if you look at it, don't worry that I'm showing a little technical here. This video is mostly non-technical. There are a few things we're going to do, but at least you understand. And when you give an engineer or developer to fix things, at least you can understand the concept, right? We're not going to do any coding or too much coding, but at least you can understand more. So in order to load this kind of page, for example, if you look here, the page actually right here had 588 things it needed to download. They call requests, which means there's logos and icons and images, and there's scripts, things like tracking codes and how the functionality works. There's CSS, like how things, the colors, and how things are aligned. Some things are on the left, some things on the right, things like that. There's tracking codes. There's all kinds of things. There's my marketing scripts, all that kind of stuff. There's 588 things, and actually it includes 7.8 megabytes of things you had to download in order to get this page to run. And then when you downloaded those, then they actually processed, they did things, and it actually is 18.8 megabytes. There's actually a lot that goes into loading a page. So if you look at that, if you look at the media itself, let me go right here. At the images, you'll see that in order to load this very lightweight demo site, they actually needed to download 61 images, and it's almost about a megabyte, right? Almost 0.9, 881 kilobytes, which is 0.9 megabytes, or almost a megabyte. And this is a very light website. This is a very, very light website. Okay. So what you want to do is you actually want to optimize your images. The images affect a huge part of things. Take a long time to download, and then they have to be placed on the page. So this video is about image optimization. So the first thing, the most obvious thing you can do is make your images smaller. You make them smaller, then you actually have to download less, and it takes quicker, and then it displays the web page loads quicker. So how do you optimize? There's 2 tools that I recommend, but there actually are so many tools. This is a very known thing. A lot of people do it. So if you have Mac, this is by far my favorite tool. Actually, I use it. If you look down below, it's right here. I use it a ton. If you use Mac, what you can do is you can download Image Optim, and then it's this tool right here. And all you have to do is basically drag your files right here, and I'll show you in a second. And what you have is you actually have 2 options. You can actually compress things either lossless, which means the image will be a little bit smaller, not too much, but a little bit smaller, but the quality will stay 100% the same. Or you can do lossy, which the quality might change a little bit, but in most cases you won't even be able to see it unless you have a very sharp eye or you zoom in or stuff like that. And you should experiment with both those things. In most cases, lossy, which means you lose a few percent of the quality, but it's very hard to know. and that'll actually compress the file a lot. And then if not, you can do a lossless. But you should actually always try the difference between those, and you should compress your images. Compress your images, re-upload them. And when you have new products or new blogs or new images to upload, compress them before, and then you should upload them. Okay, so let me show you an example. So I just have for this demo site, I have Shopify, but it doesn't matter what platform you have. Shopify is really good at a lot of things, and I'll explain some advantages, but it's really simple. So I have this product page, for example, Dr. Martens. Again, this is just a demo site, so don't worry about this, okay? So I have this. I'm going to actually go here to the back end. I'm going to edit this right here, and I just want to show you an example. So if I go to my product images right here, let's say I want to download this image. I just want to show you a simple example, and I'm going to drag it into my tool right here with lossless. Actually, the same exact image, which you won't be able to see a difference, actually made the file 14% smaller. So it's just a no-brainer. All I have to do is just download all of my images right here. Let's download, and I just drag it. And you can drag multiple. You don't have to do one at a time, but really simple. You just do it. And so now it's just going to download. It's just going to have a lot less. It's really simple. It's a no-brainer. And sometimes lossless compression, lossy or lossless, they actually give you much more than 14%. Sometimes they'll give you, 30%, 40, 50, things like that, especially icons, small things like that. So, and especially big banners. So let's go one more example. Let's go right here, and let's try to download. Let's see if I can download one of the images right here. Okay, obviously you can do it in your back end. Let's go right there. So I have my image, and let me download one of the images right here. Right there. And this is a really big image, okay? So let's do that. Oh, this is WebP. So we'll get into that in a second. I want to jump into. So the first thing you do is basically lossless compress. If you don't have a Mac, there's a ton of tools. One that I've used in the past is a web tool. You don't need to download anything. It's called compressor.io. But again, there's a ton of them. All you're going to do is specify is it lossy or lossless, losing quality or not losing quality, lossless, right? Put it here. Download the image, and then you'll get a good thing. So very, very simply put, you can use this tool. There's a ton. If you have other tools, you can use them as well, obviously. These are ones we've used before, but there's a ton of them. Do it, upload. This is number one. Compression, very, very simple. The second thing is choosing the right format. When you save an image, if you're familiar, sometimes when you save an image, you create an image, either your photographer, your editor, or you make something in Photoshop or other Canva or whatever it might be, and you save it, you have options saving JPEG, PNG, GIF, things like that. So actually the right format can help, because different formats save in different qualities and different file sizes. So you have actually different options. So when you can actually experiment. So for example, I use Mac, I use Preview. Let's say, for example, I make an image. Let's use Preview. Okay. Let's just say, for example, I use this one. Okay. So when I save it, file save as, very simple, or export, you actually have some options you can actually choose. You should actually experiment, just see the difference between them, and you'll be able to see the different file sizes. So sometimes just saving another format and having a different quality will actually make the file smaller. And then after you make it smaller, you still want to put it in your compression tool and then make it even smaller than that. Okay? So that's the second thing. The third thing is you actually want, this is a little more technical, but you want to have your file size responsive. Okay, so I'll give you an example on a real site. So when you obviously your website is consumed on different devices, different resolutions. Even desktop users, there's some that have very big resolutions, small resolutions. What you see right here is mobile. Obviously this is a desktop, and there's different desktops, so there's so many different sizes. So what you can do is, most of the time you can do it in code. You don't need to create images in different file sizes, but usually the code or the developer can do something to do that. So I'll give you an example that we have in our theme in Shopify right here, basically right here. So let's go right here to this. So if you notice right here, I'm going to try to move a little bit. Okay, so if you notice right here, this is the banner. It's a huge banner. If you saw before when on our desktop, it's huge. if you notice here, it basically is referencing the image itself. It's a huge image, 3000 with pixels by 2000. It's huge. It's really, really big. Now, if you notice, there's so many sizes right here. So because people view in different sizes, right? I can view, I can make it smaller, bigger. Obviously, I can have very big like desktop sizes, right? So all these things. So what it does is actually it's going to reference images in different sizes and then show the different widths. So for example, this is 375 width for a small mobile phone, and 550, 750, all the way to 3000. So actually in the code, and usually this is the theme or the code itself, it'll actually reference different sizes. So depending on how you enter the website, it'll show you the right one. Instead of giving you the biggest image, even if you're a mobile phone, and then making you download something very, very heavy, it'll give you the right size. So these are very simple tags, image tags with the width, specifying the width, and obviously specifying the source set, which gives you different widths. So it'll give you only the right image. Now, a lot of times CDNs actually do this for you as well. For example, Cloudflare does it for you, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Okay, great. So that's the next one, the format, the responsive, excuse me. The next thing you want to do is specify the dimensions. This is also related to code. When you have a image, you always want in the code to specify the dimensions. Let me go right here. Okay, so you can see right here that when you have an image, you can actually specify the width of the image. So width and the height right here. So you specify width and height right here. The reason you want to do that is for two reasons for image optimization. Number one, when you actually do your Lighthouse, right? When you do your Google PageSpeed Insights test, a lot of times, if you don't specify the width and the height, the layout will shift, and you're actually going to get points off on the layout shift, what we call the CLS, right? The CLS right here. You're going to get points off. The second reason, which we're going to go into a little bit later in this video, is about LazyLoad. If you have LazyLoad, but you do not have the width and the height, the LazyLoad will not work. So those are kind of two things that you should always specify. So the browser knows exactly where to put it and where it's going to, what size it's going to be before it actually downloads, so it places it correctly. The layout will not shift. You will not get a bad score on your CLS, and it actually will be able to LazyLoad as well. Okay, so next one is the LazyLoad. Let's talk about LazyLoad right now. Okay, so LazyLoad, very simply put, is what does LazyLoad mean? So when you load a page, for example, this page right here, you actually have a few icons, stuff like that, but you actually have one main image. This image will download immediately, but all the images below this, when you scroll down, for example, these images, they will not load. They will not slow down the website. They will only load only if you scroll down and you get to that area. If you get here, about right here, then they'll actually load because you specified a tag and say, hey, LazyLoad. I'm lazy, don't load it. But if I need to, then I'll just load it. So how do you specify LazyLoad? It's really simple. You have to do two things, and this is for developer, but it's really simple. Number one is you actually need to specify the dimensions. We talked about it a second ago, right? You have to specify the width and the height, all of that stuff. Let me show you. Let's just go right here. So you have to specify that. The second thing you want to do right here is you actually have to specify, okay, this is a LazyLoad. So for example, if you go here, you specify the width and the height right here, and you specify loading equals lazy. And when you do that, it'll load only if you need to, only on the scroll. Now, one thing that's very, very important, anything that is above the fold, which basically loads without you scrolling, and you can see without scrolling, you should not have loading equals lazy. Keep the dimensions, yes. Do not have loading equals lazy, or else your website will slow down a little bit and you'll get a worse score right here. Make sure you don't do that. Okay, if you did it by mistake, when you do the PageSpeed Insights test, either on your browser or PageSpeed Insights, right here, this test, it'll tell you, hey, the main image was LazyLoad. It should not be. Please fix it. And you can just remove it. It'll actually remind you. Okay, great. So we talked about LazyLoad. The next thing is removing images. So this is kind of an interesting thing. So Page speed is decided by the amount of things you have and all kinds of technical things. But if you literally just remove some things, the browser, the page will have less things to load, less file size, less transfer, less waiting time, less downloading time, less processing time. So you can actually consider removing things you don't need. I know you guys like to have a ton of things on your website, the Instagram, all the banners, the Instagram pictures, the icons, the reviews, the videos, the widgets, all these stuff. So for example, I have 5 sliding banners right here. Right here you can see 5. And I have additional selling point. I have products, and I have another banner, and I have collection images, and I have reviews, and I have a video, and icons. You just have a ton of things. So you should actually figure out, especially on home pages, things like that, what can you remove? So for example, one of the things that there's a lot of data on is sliding banners. So a lot of you like to have on your homepage 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sliding banners to promote all of your promotions and collections and articles and all that kind of stuff. But most people actually don't remember. They only remember the last banner. So if you have 5, you can consider having 1. But if you don't want to have 1, you can consider having 4, 3. If you have 7, you can go to 4. Just promote the most popular things. Don't promote everything. Don't expect people to remember every single thing that flashed by, because obviously, if you're like me and most people, you don't really remember too many things. You just remember the last one, maybe the last 2, or something that's very relevant to you. Okay, so what you can do is just remove it. All you have to do is go to the back end, and instead of 5, do 4. Your web page speed will be faster, right? Obviously, and you can target people more to what you're looking for. Don't give them everything. Give them the thing that's relevant to them. Very simple. You can also do personalization, by the way. Some users you can show these, some user you can show that. There's a lot of things you can do. Okay. The last one, very, very simply put. One more thing about removing images. So sometimes you want to remove images, but sometimes you can actually replace images with things like code. So you can have CSS, for example. Sometimes there's some icons that you can use CSS. Maybe you can make them in actual code, and the code is just text. So text is faster than downloading an image. Or you can actually have a SVG, which is basically a coding way to make icons, okay, or images. So you can do that as well. So there's many ways to replace them. If you have like an animated GIF, for example, and it's more than a few seconds, sometimes that's very, very heavy. You can actually replace a GIF, animated GIF, with a video or other things, animations, things like that. So consider there's other ways to do it. The last one, the CDN. Okay, depending on what platform you have, Shopify already has a CDN with Cloudflare. It's amazing. All their settings are really good. If you don't have a CDN, greatly consider having a CDN. CDN is basically content delivery network, which basically means you're having additional servers, not just your web server, the server or the computer that serves your website. You have additional ones all across the world, and they actually they provide all the images and JavaScript and all that stuff closer to the person that's asking. Because if someone, for example, is in Los Angeles, there'll be a server in Los Angeles to give it to them. If now they're in San Francisco, there'll be a server in San Francisco. So there's no lag, right? So things that serve faster. But the more important than that is a lot of these CDNs, and you should check, have image optimization services. Cloudflare is one of the best ones. So for example, we use Cloudflare for non-Shopify sites. Shopify already uses Cloudflare. We use for non-Shopify. So when you go into your speed optimization, you'll have things like automatically compress the images, so you don't even need to compress the images and upload. It'll do it for you, either lossy or lossless. It can serve additional formats. For example, not just JPEG, GIF, PNG. It'll also do WebP, which is one of the smallest formats that exist. Okay. It'll also have things like serving to slower networks. It might serve for mobile devices some other images, and there are actually many more optimizations and caching and network and things like that. But some of the things right here, some of the CDNs have a ton of things. I know Cloudinary has some cool stuff. You can actually resize the image, make them responsive. I like a Cloudflare because it's a really good price. It's like $20 a month for their Pro plan, and they have some good things. It's really easy, and I've been using them for years. But again, you do your research, figure out what's good for you. CDNs are great. They speed up things because they're closer to the user, and you can do image optimizations. That's it. So if you had any questions in this video, you're not sure what I'm talking about, I talk too fast, you have some questions, not sure, ask us in the comments on YouTube. On our website, we have our article as well. We'll link everything. What we talked about is also an article, social media. And if you have a question that's very specific to you and you have a very detailed depth question, this is exactly what we're here to do, help you guys. Ask us anything you have. Tell us the platform, the details, whatever. Ask us, either we or the community will answer. We'll always try to answer you as best as we can and as fast as we can. Ask us. And let's say share in knowledge with everybody, make things better, make faster websites, rank better, do all that kind of stuff. And obviously, we'll link all of the series of speed optimization. We do a lot of things, not just image optimization, the tools to use, about Core Web Vitals, about testing tools, other things you can optimize. Not just images, but your styles and lazy loads and videos, how to optimize, many, many more things. It's a series. There's a ton of videos and articles on it. Much, much appreciated. If this video helped you in any way, please like, please subscribe, please share. It means a lot to us. It helps us grow, reach more people. It also gives me feedback into, are our videos good? Are they helpful? Should I be changing things? Let us know. Is anything missing? Is anything too technical, non-technical, too difficult, not difficult? You want to go in more depth? You have specific topics you want us to cover? Just let us know. Contact us, message us, tell us what you think. Much, much appreciated. Love you guys. Thank you.